Each of the individual components in AI Builder has a specific set of inputs and outputs. I've put about 10 of them on the screen. Just selected a few that would best illustrate how unique each of these components are. Now the inputs on each component are to the left, and the outputs come out of the right side, and they are labeled as to what that input or output is, and usually give some indication of what kind of data is required or produced by that input or output. And the connections themselves, just a right click on the component, would take that value, connect it to another component, and then that component here can then connect to another component. Outputs can connect to multiple components, and that's how you would build your structure. But the idea is that as you drag components to the screen and connect them, you are still given an indication, a visual indication, as to what the component is by the symbol that's consistently carried across from the icon, and the labeled inputs and outputs. For instance, here's an FFT that takes in a signal, a double array, a sample rate, and provides the bin count, a spectrum double array out, along with the bin size, peak and low frequencies, and the Nyquist frequency. And each of these, some of the components are very simple, like an equality check, where you drag whatever number of inputs you want, and it'll check to see if it's equal to a certain value, and give you the number of items that satisfy that. Some are very simple in that way, and others are a little more complex. Some are visual components. For instance, the integrated column chart would just be something you drag to the screen to watch a value. You just drag here to this open space, and that value then would be plotted as you simulate and move through the simulation. Others are a little more let's say visually interesting, like an LED display, which are used really to produce and analyze the type of output that might be used in some robotics elements. Here is a 7-segment LED display. So some of the components themselves are a little more visual in nature, but still the visual clarification as to the type of input and what data is required is made very clear. There are roughly 85, 86 components today. We're adding components very quickly, and we would expect that to grow significantly. But that is our rundown of